Hello, you're watching Stretford Paddock. We are here today for the review of the Leicester game that we've just seen. United won 1-0 with a penalty from Marcus Rashford. What do you think of the game?
Not the best by entertainment means or attacking wise, but look, that was such an important victory for us. Yeah. I mean, we go into that game dropping more points. Ollie's head's already on the chopping block for some fans. I felt we played pretty well though. Defensively, we restricted them to not many clear-cut chances. Maddison had that one-on-one. And besides that, did they have really that Ndidi shot in the last minute was close?
Yeah, I mean, there was opportunities, I think, for Leicester to, possibly level up, especially in those first 5 minutes, with that Maddison chance. That De Gea did a great job today, I think. There was that Ben Chilwell shot as well from 30 yards out that he saved. But you and I were talking at halftime, Joe, whether or not we were going to slip into the way we did against like Southampton and Wolves. If we were going to perform well in that first half, which we did, we performed fine. And then that second half, I think, going forward, you saying we were lackadaisical, and I think that really came from that midfield. Once Fred came on, seemed a bit more lively. Chong tried to go forward a few times, but then it just seemed like he was almost too scared to make the move going forward, and he just kept on passing back. So I think offensively, we were quite weak in that second half. But I'm happy with 3 points. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a win. It's been like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
What do you think?
It's another not completely convincing win, but what can you say? Leicester unbeaten, reeled off all the statistics
better
we
team.
liked. Probably better team on paper. They've accumulated third most points since they've appointed Brendan Rodgers behind Liverpool and City. They've been good run of form. They've not lost this season. We've come away with 3 points, so it's difficult not to be happy with that, even though we weren't all the way convincing.
And the penalty taboo is over. Well,
exactly. Finally,
the taboo's over, but bodes well for the rest of the season. I think we've still got a long way to go. So I definitely anticipate a few ups and downs in the season to come.
As we see some of the stats on the screen here, Leicester 58% possession. I think most of that was in a sort of the second half, really, wasn't it?
the first 25 minutes of the second half where they had us on the back foot.
9 shots, only 3 on target from Leicester. Talking about the penalty, then Rashford won the penalty. I think it was Pereira made a good tackle just on the corner of the Leicester box, and then played the ball into Rashford, and he was brought down. But I think it was a good penalty. It went the other way to what the way it normally goes. I think, like I said, the penalty sort of hoodoo that's been over our heads this season. Hopefully, finally, we can move away from that. Start scoring
and a clean sheet as well.
And a clean sheet, it's the first. It's only the second clean sheet United have made in the last 15 games.
It's insane.
So that's pretty big as well. I thought Lindelof was outstanding today. You were saying that you were impressed by Lindelof as well.
I was impressed by him because I didn't have to mention him. If you're not mentioning a centre back, then he's probably having a steady game.
Yeah. And
it's showing that. We didn't really mention Lindelof's name, and we didn't really mention Jamie Vardy's name. So
Jamie Vardy was completely shut out of the game.
Neutralised.
Yeah, I thought he played really well. We were surprised to see Wan-Bissaka playing, but I thought he had another good game as well.
Going forward as well. Yeah. I said it before the season starts. We were gonna, if we get Wan-Bissaka, we're getting a defender who is not going to be putting in a lot of attacking output territory-wise, but he really is marauding up.
It's interesting one that though. How he's so much better defensively than going forward when he was a winger all the way up until he was a winger.
He's completely tailored his game to just.
I'm
just the tackling kid.
How Palace probably played though, Palace probably didn't give him a lot of freedom to maybe go up the right-hand side as much
as a winger.
No, as a right back.
No, I'm saying, but he grew up in academy football all the way until reserve football, being a winger.
It was maybe going to be dropped, released as a winger, wasn't it? So
and they've dropped. They usually call fullbacks failed wingers, but he's got probably one of the best failed wingers of all time.
Yeah, true. Standout performance for you though. Who'd you give the man?
I thought Lindelof was really good. First half, I thought Matic played all right, but in the second half, it looked like maybe his lack of game time got to his legs. We were talking about it in the first half. We were all expecting Leicester to come out in the start of the second half, put a lot more pressure on United, which is what we've seen from other teams, and they've done that effectively against us. I thought Solskjaer actually made a good substitution. He saw that Matic was being overrun in that kind of phase of play that we were talking about, and he brought Fred on, who, like you said before, added some good energy and some good intensity to midfield. I thought Dan James was good in the first half, but second half he didn't do much. Probably like Ronaldo said, I think Lindelof was probably our best player overall. Who stood out for you?
I'm not sure. I didn't say Lindelof was our best player.
No, I'm saying that I think he was. Yeah.
For me, I think Scott McTominay was absolutely.
I was
fantastic
most
today.
impressed with McTominay.
We saw most take-ons completed, 4 out of 6, I think. Probably even more with we saw he ran it into the corner in the last minute.
Yeah, that literally summed it up.
He's really grown into that role where we're saying,
Summed it up.
yeah, it's he's grown into that role. He is becoming an ever-presence in that midfield. In that midfield. Fred, I thought, was really good when he came on today as well.
Yeah,
lively, energetic.
Lively, yeah.
And just the way he takes the ball, like his touch, and especially compared to Matic, like when the ball comes to him, his first touch is strong. He stops the ball dead. He's got a good pass around the corner. He's a lot more energetic than Matic. I don't really know why he's been out of favour with Mourinho, and I know obviously the whole wedding thing with Solskjaer, but it's a strange one because I think when he's on the ball, he looks really good.
So what I go back to is like what usually separates like elite players, quality players, is they make slightly less mistakes and they make better decisions. So it's one of them where if you're going off ability and athleticism, Fred might have a little bit more than the likes of Matic, etc. But they might be slightly a little bit more reliable. Yeah. Whereas Fred's is more likely to take a risk and to be a little bit loose with a pass there, a little bit loose with a pass there. That's that kind of thing. And that's usually what managers look at when they're like, if I start Fred today, is he as reliable? Is he steady?
Who is more likely to give away the ball in a problematic position?
That's literally when I've watched Fred play. The only issue I have with him is that he'll make a sloppy pass there, or he'll be out of position there, and it's just little details that separate you from being a player there and a player there.
It ends up being a liability, especially last season. And one of the only performances I can really applaud on United side today, besides Maguire and Lindelof, who I thought played pretty well. McTominay, I agree with you, Kieran. He's probably my man of the match. He's put up alongside Matic, and Matic defensively, I think, is all right, but I think McTominay is just equivalent to him, if not a bit better. But going forward, McTominay carried himself with confidence, and it's impressive to see where he's come. I think in the past year, I think he's had a lot of pressure put on him. I think he's really handled his role better than someone like McTominay, or even better than Matic and even Fred when he came in last season. So I think McTominay was my man of the match. Special shout out to Dan James again, putting another great performance.
He's excellent, wasn't he? Yeah.
Should he have had an assist today? I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to look at it and say he didn't get any of his crosses completed, I think. But we were looking at a few of them. It just looked like none of our strikers are anticipating the ball into the middle of that box.
Yeah.
And there was a few times where Dan James put it perfectly right there for Pereira.
Yeah, there was one where he chipped it in and one where he sort of played it across the front.
Yep.
Rashford, I think, was down on the halfway line for one of them, but the other one, he was just sort of stood on the edge of the box. Yeah. We need to work on that. I think we saw that from Martial in the Chelsea game, didn't we? Where Pereira whipped that ball in and Martial was sort of breaking in for the near post. But other than that, that's still something we're lacking going into, obviously, Astana midweek and then West Ham away, is it, that we've got at the weekend? What do you want to see from the team? Who do you think has maybe sort of vied for a place in that starting 11? Who do you think should be starting in those games?
I wouldn't be shocked if we see someone like Fred maybe even starting against West Ham. I'd say Ollie may be considering starting him in the Europa League against Astana. Maybe Mason may get the start as well. I don't think Pereira impressed any of us hugely today.
Never does.
I think
I'm not a Pereira hater. I just say what it is. I've never been that impressed with him when watching him play. He's got ability. He's got a little bit of technicality, but he's not. He's just not the caliber that we need. He's
a good squad player.
He's a squad player, fair enough. But see him start games, I don't know. I said it at the end of the game. 90 minutes from Pereira.
Yeah,
I was actually surprised by that. He just doesn't seem that mobile, that athletic.
To your point, though, he doesn't make that many mistakes. He never really goes past him.
I think he does. I think he made a few mistakes.
I mean, he does make loads of mistakes.
On that right-hand side,
I think that's compared to maybe Gomez or someone who Ole isn't sure about. I think that's why he's putting him in.
Pereira is a risk taker.
Yeah.
But he's a risk taker in where they very rarely come off.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's not the most consistent. Yeah. But I think he offers something maybe slightly more defensively than someone like Gomez or someone else does in that sort of that number 10 position. It's almost not really number 10. It's almost just like a sort of central number 8 almost. Yeah. He's not right behind the striker, is he?
No.
He was sort of playing as a central midfielder. In terms of then, we saw Chong come on. Did you think he didn't seem to show too much. You were saying that you thought he looked a bit timid and nervous about making a mistake.
Quite often, young players do look like that when they come in. Just the more thinking about making less mistakes rather than actually impacting the game.
Yeah,
he looked a bit tentative, a bit like
overthinking
it. Yeah, I was saying, I know you're a young player and you don't want to take too much risks, but just try and make something happen. Like it can often come off for you.
The top players who come on, we saw Rashford in his debut. You see it with all the the real sort of top young talents. They come on and you think, bloody hell, where have they been?
Exactly.
You don't think, he's a bit edgy, he's a bit nervous. And not that he can't overcome that, sort of a nervous start, but those real exciting young players, they come on and they play like they did for the under-23s, whereas Chong looked a little bit like he was scared of making a mistake.
Thursday's the perfect time. I think to play Chong, Greenwood, who we didn't see any of today.
Yeah.
And
do you reckon he didn't play in preparation to start on Thursday?
He'll probably play on Thursday and Saturday. Realistically, so that's maybe why he's resting.
Saturday as well.
Gomez and Greenwood.
Saturday. Do we play Sunday or Saturday?
What is it? Sunday, sorry. But Thursday and then Sunday is probably 3 games in 1 week for a 17.
Will we have Pogba and Martial back? We'll have to see for that game.
You might give Pogba a few minutes against Stani, you never know.
Martial, I doubt will be able to play. On Sunday, though, this is the performance to build off of because it's a win, obviously.
Yeah, I think it can't be underestimated how big a result that is because we're talking before the game, people were saying United's midfield's going to get overran, which for most of the game it didn't. We were saying that United struggling to keep clean sheets, they kept a clean sheet, and people were saying that Leicester is the team that's going to take United's position in the top 6. To beat them, to limit them to only 1 or 2 good chances, I think that's a really big result. And the fact that the game was slightly boring, obviously while the game's happening you want a bit more excitement, but looking back at that game, that was a huge win for United, and the start that we've had, I think a win there was more important going forward than it was sort of at the time, if you know what I mean.
Especially with 3 of our players, 3 of our starting players being injured.
It was all the sort of the recipe for a defeat or a draw, and I think winning that game, obviously, what was it before? It was like 3 wins in our last sort of 17 games. Like we were saying at half time that I don't think it's fair to bring in last season's results as well because you've had 3 months difference since then. Yeah. So I think this start to the season we've made now, 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss. It's not great, but it's so much better than it would have been if we had have dropped points today. So I think it's a good result.
I think we can be happy just 3 points under our belt to break, like you said, that streak. And going into West Ham away is not an easy game by any stretch because you don't know what you're going to get with West Ham, do you?
And another important factor as well is that both Tottenham and Chelsea have scored a lot of goals and won today. We've got, I think it's Arsenal play tomorrow. Yes. We needed this result to sort of keep up with those other top 4 contenders. I think it's a huge win. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, right, okay. Good to have you. Good to hear your opinions.
Thanks, guys.
Let us know in the comments what you thought of the game, who you thought was your man of the match, and what you want to see from the games against Astana and West Ham this week. We'll be covering all those games, obviously, and we'll have plenty of other videos in the meantime. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.